Hi, Sierra.
So glad to be with you today. So heartful.
Oh, yeah, I feel that too. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So what I wanted to come right out and ask is, how do we start our light days for optimal well-being?
That is a super great question, and thank you for asking. And of course, we know with light testing that can be modified. So I'm going to start with what I do, and then through energy testing, you might find your own pathway that feels right for you. So if I go into my own body and my own waking up exercise, and for me, sometimes this includes waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning, or normal waking times, is just whenever my body seems to amp up on energy. Then I'm going to make sure that I'm checking my hydration, my polarity, my connection to the deepest and highest good and the highest light. So whenever I wake up, I'm checking those things, and I'm going to check for priorities. And so for some reason, I'm going to use the 1 o'clock in the morning thing first,
Okay.
because sometimes that could be a way to start the day, even if I go back to sleep.
Wow.
So yeah. So 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm checking, am I connected to the light? 100%. Yes. Am I supposed to be awake right now? Because, or supposed to is a little bit on the judgmental side, but does it serve my highest light? Am I going to be able to pull in the most light possible during that time? And is it going to feel good? And sometimes the answer is actually yes. And wow. I'm going to optimize that time, even if it's quote unquote, most people would think don't be awake at 1 o'clock in the morning. But sometimes that's a great time to do energy work or downloads. And sometimes it will test to go to sleep, but let's say it tests to stay awake. Then I'm going to connect to my deepest, highest good, and I'm going to ask what the priority is. And that priority will inform me a lot about how to run energy through my body for having an optimal day, even if my day doesn't start for another 7, 8, 9 hours. So it can be a pre-download for my day. So I'm going to state that first. So do you have any questions arising from that zone?
Well, the first thing that came up is that I have a glass of water by me in bed, so I could do that. I haven't really thought of doing that.
Right.
Usually if I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm using tools to help me get back to sleep versus questioning whether this is a time to download energy or prepare for my day. So I'm like being expanded even just with the conversation.
Yay. Love expansion.
My stomach's making a noise.
When the stomach makes noises, then it lets you know your parasympathetic nervous system is turned on sometimes, because your gut is actually moving and your sympathetic nervous system is in balance. So some people are like, oh, it's not a good sign my stomach is growling, but sometimes it's actually a really good sign. So
yeah, the energy's flowing. I'm breathing more. I'm more in flow. The body's doing its thing.
Mm-hmm.
So preparing ourselves in the middle of the night for the day, so you connect with it and you ask the priority, and how does the energy feel for you when you do that?
It feels magnificent. It feels great. It feels flow in my body. Sometimes it can feel tingly. It can feel very electrical when I'm in alignment. So those are all signs of being in alignment. Electrical in a good way. Flow. There's something else I should tell you. I can feel energy in my legs and sometimes in my gut, the flow of it. What else do I feel? Mostly magnificent and divine, actually. Feeling divine flow.
Some of us may have a limited belief that 1 in the morning is the time to go back to sleep. And it doesn't even think that it doesn't feel like you're even considering that you're just being in alignment with what's being offered. And it doesn't feel like you're concerned that you won't be able to get back to sleep, even if you're all energized.
Because let's say, again, hypothesis, it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm running that light. That light could add another 4 hours of energy sleep, or recharging my cellular structure in my body, my cells, so that, again, I am in divine alignment for the next day and whatever it has to bring. And I love feeling the divine in my body, and it's a really good feeling. So I like to take out judgment or prejudgment of, oh, a lot of people are like, oh crap, I'm awake. Oh no, now what do I do? Stress, 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 which that stress is going to raise the sympathetic nervous system, and it can induce things that are stress hormones from your adrenal glands, which is like the fight or flight. And you get basically an adrenaline rush, which is not so helpful at that time in the morning, unless it serves your light to like, okay, it's an adrenaline rush. I am making up a story, but maybe 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning, I have an adrenaline rush. Am I supposed to use this energy? The answer could be yes, if I have to get to the airport at 5 o'clock in the morning and I haven't packed yet. So sometimes situationally that can be good, but that's a rare occasion and not a frequent occasion to amp up your adrenal glands that late at night. But you can use the adrenal hormones instead of stress or fight or flight to go, okay, how can I run this energy in my body? How can I be constructive with this energy? That's another thing that can be in service. How can it be constructive for my energy flow that will connect me to the light or the divine in all ways at all times? And just being in questioning about that instead of being in freak out mode or stress response.
This is really expanding me the whole idea of a whole new relationship with sleep.
Yay!
And I know some people have difficulties falling asleep. My thing is like, I can sleep and I enjoy sleep. And my thing would be to want to go back to sleep, but to be open. And, I've been with you where you work with me in the middle of the night when you're in a different country. And I've always been pretty impressed with that capacity, but it's just expanding me that when I do get up, to check instead of just trying to get back to sleep.
Yes.
But what about for people who are having a challenge with sleep? How can they work with this?
That's a really good question. I think there's something more specific or anything else, which is a tool that we also use in resonance therapy as one of the discerning. There's something else to say though, before we go to the problems with sleep. It's more the concept, again, if I'm waking up and I'm in divine flow, that's the most important thing. And it's important because it'll help you feel better in your body and expand you for more capacity of joy and exuberance, which is a lot of our goals, not necessarily for everyone, but a lot of people do appreciate that in their bodies, and it can help with your immune system and your joy function and be able to have an exuberant next day, even if you've been up at 1 o'clock in the morning. For me, sometimes if I'm up that early, it might only be 30 minutes or 45 minutes, and I just, again, download whatever light that I need. And so going into the problem areas of sleep, when people do have problems, most of my practice over the last 20 years of working with people, 90% of the time that people are having problems with sleep, it's not a genuine true in the name of the light problem. So I'll back up for people who don't understand the concept of true in the name of the light, but we look at your energy grid and you can self-evaluate is this truly a problem true in the name of the light? And 90% of the time sleep is not actually the true problem, and it is a time to meditate or enlighten or awaken. So I just want to give that construct first, because again, people, when they feel fear about something that isn't true in the name of light, it raises all sorts of chaos and havoc in the nervous system and in the body. And it's the opposite of what we want to do, which is to keep the chi calm, flowing, and enlightened. But if it is a genuine problem, then sometimes we can use things like herbs, or there's other energy medicine tools, or we have to calm down the nervous system because it truly is in fight or flight. And so I'm not supposed to necessarily give specific examples, but let's see if I can pull one out for you all. So I've had one client who's definitely had challenges with sleep, and so we've had to do some tapping, which can help with the calming reflex for the things that were stressing her out, that were keeping her awake at night, because that wasn't a true in the name of light waking up for joy and exuberance. It was, I'm so stressed out, I can't handle things. In Chinese medicine, that might be a tiny little bit over people's heads, but just bear with me for a couple seconds. The yang is out of balance. So you're able to go to sleep, but the yang in your body, the adrenal stress, the stress hormones will be like, okay, I got to get up. So then you probably need to do an intervention of some kind to put the person back into balance. Sometimes, I want to do broad brush strokes instead of specific. Sometimes we're picking up on world stress and that's waking us up. So sometimes people need to work on better boundaries with the world or the stress hormones of the world or the emotions of the world. Because sometimes we can be overwhelmed with the group energy field that's waking us up and causing a fright instead of our own natural responses to waking up. And so I work with a lot of people, and I know that you do potentially in your private practice as well, help people calm down their nervous system so they're not so out of balance with the world. There's another reason for lack of sleep. Sometimes it can be childhood patterns, just like your pattern to wake up and not have a deep sleep response or a deep healing response. And sometimes you need to work on root cause of whatever in the childhood or teenage years is waking people up. So you have any questions from those angles?
Well, it was such a full response, multidimensional.
And sometimes it's very multidimensional, and that's the beauty of our system. We can read that deepest, highest good above the head and go, hey, what's going on for this individual? Is it healthy to wake up? Is it unhealthy? Meaning, is it causing a stress response? And if it's truly in alignment where I'm looking at your light and the light is running right through you, there's a reason for the lack of sleep. So the issue might actually be something else than what people are thinking it is. Which if you're thinking it's an issue and it's not, that can cause stress too. So we have to identify the true and the name of the light issue, line people up with the light, get rid of any junk that doesn't want to be there, but also pour in light through the body and the nervous system so that you can actually feel good, exuberant, and healthy and not have prejudgments about when our body's supposed to be awake or asleep or things like that. Because we're just really looking for exuberance and joy in the body.
And listening to you just opens up a whole new relationship with sleep. Because if I'm feeling like I'm supposed to be asleep and uninterrupted the whole time, then that's getting in the way of the, it's just an idea of how it's supposed to be. And we learned that, it might be in the light, like you suggested. We might be meant to meditate or.
Yes. And enlightened.
And getting out of our habits.
Our perceived habits, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And enlivening the body for a new reality. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what is there any time when people are used to not sleeping that they're meant to sleep a little bit more?
Yes, that's a whole nother topic. But again, I'm going to look for more specific anything else because I want to make sure I'll kind of demonstrate the work that we do. There's you. The thing with all of this, even though I'm talking about light running through the body and enlivening the body, sometimes we really truly need deep rest. We need our cells to rejuvenate and heal. So that deep rest is important. And so I just want to acknowledge that even though I'm talking about enlivening and waking up and having this exuberance, sometimes it's super important for the kinesthetics to have whatever you consider as deep rest or rejuvenating rest so that you can function the next day. So I just want to give some specifics, which is hedging towards your next question. So if I'm going to work an 8-hour or 9-hour next day, my energy field might say, hey, let's just be up for 45 minutes so you can download enough light for the next day too. But I might need to physiologically rest more than if I have 48 hours off. If I have 48 hours off, maybe the light might keep me up for 2 hours as I'm downloading and meditating in the middle of the night because I don't have to function physiologically to the same way that I would if I have to work, especially physically the next day. So I want to definitely have people kinesthetically honor that if they need that deep rest to really take it. And because that rejuvenation time for the cells and feeding the cells what they need, which is sometimes truly deep rest, and the nutrients that can give, not necessarily food nutrients, but other kinds of nutrients, that can feed their soul as well and they can rest. So deep rest is super important, just going to emphasize that. And sometimes people really need it during the day. I do want to bring up there is a situational stress in the world right now, which people are in their homes. And so technical note, it's society is shut down because of this current virus, COVID-19. You can use your word if you know what that means to detox anything around this situation, which is a healing tool. But sometimes it's a good opportunity to go, okay, I can't go to work, or I don't want to work right now, and is there an option to rest? Because sometimes naps are super important and people are like, oh, naps are only for kids, or I'm going to ignore my body signals and push. But this is a good opportunity to potentially tune into when you actually need to rest. And when we go back to the normal world, sometimes people truly need a 20-minute break, or like where they're lying down, or different times of rest, and really paying attention to their inner body signals. I know that you are writing this beautiful book and talking about paying attention to body signals. And I'm so honoring that you're loving writing this book and putting your information out there in wise and wonderful word ways to help people connect to this information in resonance therapy. So sometimes it's really, you got to get in your body and feel, okay, do I need to rest right now, or do I need to be on? And sometimes going, okay, I need to rest right now. And then if you know how to energy test, you can go, how long do I need to rest for? Okay, I just need 20 minutes, true in the name of light. It's a little wobbly. 20 minutes, meaning 10 minutes of meditation, and then another 22 minutes of rest. So we can get super specific for what we need to download rest. So basically, in answer to your question about maybe people needing to understand when to rest and when to be active, this is a divine time to pay attention. Anytime's a good time to pay attention to your body signals and when to truly rest. And your body signals will always tell you, do I need to rest or do I need to be on? So just honoring your body, honoring that wisdom. And I'm looking forward to your book coming out so we can hear more about it in the words that you're going to use.
Thank you.
Just rest, because rest will download sleep energetically, and sometimes being awake and running energy will download the energy that your body actually needs. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing how you do it with your full schedule and different time zones and even flying, and manage to be so awake and alive, and show you live a way of demonstrating that we can get the rest we need, and it's not always the way we think it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's lots of ways to download rest.
Yeah, and honoring our divine pacing, and
yes, it's beautiful wording. Honoring divine pacing and divine pacing it. Absolutely. And
not having a preconceived idea what that is, because
correct.
We tend to go with what our personality thinks it should be, right? Like,
exactly.
Go, and versus what is it in the moment for our priority.
Yep. And not preconceiving, just really being super in, people call it the now, or for me, I like to call it the present, because there's presence in the present. You get little gifts of presence. Just being in the presence and just acknowledging what your body needs in the now. And that can be big, even if you don't know how to muscle test yet or energy test. Sometimes just paying attention to your body signals are clues enough to what you actually are going to need. So if you're out there and a layperson and never heard of energy testing or muscle testing or the divine light grid, is just pay attention to your body signals. And most of the time they're probably about 90% right. So I don't want to leave anybody out or feel like they're quote unquote in the dark or unconscious about how to do this. Just pay attention to your body, honor it. If you feel like you need to rest. Do you have another good question in there for our audience, or things that you think people might want to learn or know?
Hydrate.
Yeah, I'm going to hydrate too. Thank you. Yes, hydration, which we've talked about in many videos, is like helps the energy flow through. And how do you know you need water even if you can't muscle test? Sometimes when you start tuning in, you can feel immediately better when you have some water. And that's another thing. People actually get tired. They're either hungry. Yes, they're hungry. And that hunger signal is quote unquote, I'm going to just use the word mistake for now, because actually people are usually thirsty and not so much hungry. And so they'll eat instead of just hydrating to make them feel better, just putting that out there. And the other thing is, yeah, sometimes you just need to rest. So,
Right.
if you're low energy. But hydration can actually amp up the energy. It's really good for the brain and memory and having the light and energy flow through you and helping rejuvenate and invigorate you. All of us probably have had experience with a dehydrated plant. It's not so pretty and there's not a lot of energy flow, and its vitality, starts looking kind of brown and saggy. So hydration, hydration, hydration. Keep the fluids flowing. Keep connected to the light grid, because we want everybody to be invigorated and healthy. So morning wake up routine, I just want to channel whatever I can for people in that. So let's say you wake up at quote unquote normal time and you're not frustrated with waking up at any other time. So normal wake up time, which is a bit unusual for me at this stage in my energy involvement, but waking up, you want to have an energy that feels really good flowing through your body. So I'm going to try to talk like on a lay person perspective, pulling down the energy, meaning like talking on another level. If you don't feel good, there's ways to amp up. And that's, again, connecting to your deepest, highest good, making sure you're 100% connected to the light, and again, asking for your priorities. Going to general speak, the thing that sparked this conversation to be recorded in the beginning, we were kind of all talking about what inspires us in the morning or what energy we're running in the morning. And so one of the things that I'll do is I'll test what is the highest, again, after I'm connected, what is the highest vibration to run through my body? And I literally will not get out of bed until I know I've hit that high vibration note. And I've personally been practicing this for at least 12 years when I've energy tested my body. How long have I been waking up, connecting the energy grid, and just channeling enough light through my body, usually for at least 5 minutes before I turn, put my feet over the bed and have my feet touch the floor, because I want to start my day as juiced up and as invigorated as possible. And therefore, engage with life in really constructive ways. So I want to make sure my body is as constructive as possible. And so invigorating myself enough, running enough highest vibration light, no matter what that is. And I think that you had an idea of what you do in your morning to be in high vibration.
For me, I've developed a relationship with my body over the years. And one thing that I've discovered is that if I ask my body to show me the highest light vibrational resonance for the moment or the day, then I actually feel energy change and kind of organize and change, and I can feel it, and it feels really good. And often it feels right in front of me. Mm-hmm. And I've come to ask, well, what is this I'm feeling? And sometimes it's compassion or peace, mm-hmm. or equanimity or joy, and it's different. It's different from my normal emotions in that it was kind of organized by the body. I know that sounds weird, but I say, show me, body, the energy that would be best for this moment. And
yes, that's very simple wording, but that's something easy for people to tune into. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you're expanding me, because I do think of it most every day, but I haven't thought of it to ask before I get out of bed. I do run my light before I get out of bed, but I love that whole idea of asking it. And sometimes I do this where I'm feeling that energy, and then it's almost like I'm in slow motion getting out of bed, and like I'm my awareness is heightened, and I can feel every step. I'm very aware of the step, my first step on the floor, and yeah. Feeling my body move through space, as like sometimes you see nice. Animals with their awareness, how present they are, versus it has been a habit to just get out of bed half asleep, and then to be so aware and awake. It feels really good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. I love your awareness.
Sometimes I can ask at different parts of the day too. Show me the highest light resonance before I go on a walk or before I meet a person. And
right.
So so often this energy kind of informs me in some way. I'm not even sure how, but I'll just run into people that are where I have a good connection with, and just things seem to work out more easily. There's more ease and flow.
Ease and flow. That's definitely super important tones to tune into. Ease and flow, or guideposts, or things to look for in your body, is ease and flow. Beautifully said.
And the only other thing I would add is that I don't have to figure out the way to do it. It's just divine within the body is showing me. I don't have to say, how do I do it?
Yeah.
Just kind of just organizes from the same intelligence that's figuring out how to run the show in this body.
Exactly. And sometimes it's just asking the question or being in tune. Like you said, you don't always have to know. I'm using my hands on purpose. Like it can show up like an idea out here or out here or out here. It's like, you may not, when you walk into a store, you may not know what you need, but then all of a sudden it presents itself because you see it on the shelf. So just, even if you don't know what you need, sometimes just tuning in to the greater divine channels, I'm going to say, then things just appear. Oh, that's what I need. I need some hydration, or I need whatever it's going to be continue to be in ease and flow in your body. And sometimes, I'm just going to add, it can even be moving the right way. Right way meaning congruent. Part of me wants to stay away from concept of right and wrong duality, but so one of the things I really tune into is also, once I rise my body up out of sitting position, I'll swing my legs over, and I'll make sure, like my feet are usually on the ground, but I'll make sure my quadriceps are engaged and on, and I feel the energy running through my quadriceps before I get up. And also my third chakra a little bit, because I'm using my core when I actually stand up, and my second chakra for stability. I'm going to make sure, but especially if I tune into my quadriceps, okay, do they have enough light running through them for the concept of ease and flow, or light, so that I can get up and move my knees and be in flow and harmony with the rest of the universe. So
that's a wow.
Very congruent with the light in my body.
Yes. And it's tapping me into that. When I have this greater awareness, often I can connect with the light that connects me, so that I feel my core in a different way, not pushing it or whatever, exactly. But I just feel this alignment where my belly is just kind of more uplifted without trying. Right. It just feels like more alignment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So kind of amping up with our language and understanding what we're aiming for is greater alignment, greater flow, greater ease, really tuning into your intuition about how you move, when you move. So,
and I appreciate the idea of checking the legs and the quads, and the light being engaged with our foundation that way. That's
being in divine alignment in all ways. And that can really jumpstart your day, because you can be starting your day, at least internally for me, with peace, harmony, some people joy. And then I can really give to the world too, when I start out in a space that, how do I want to say this out loud? Let me start again. I can really give to the world because I've downloaded the light and the energy, so that essentially that I come from a place of fullness and giving, and also receiving. And that, again, that sparks balance and joy and peace in the world as well.
Can you say a little bit more about the receiving part of it?
Yeah. So thank you for asking. Because let me backtrack. So if I've in a state where I've downloaded, which is receiving, downloaded enough chi, then I have received in a way. I'm trying to translate this to human levels. So if the thing is, colloquialism, I believe, is, your cup, when your cup runneth over, that's when you give. So that's in a kind of a way that I'm saying I'm starting my day super full already with divine light. So it makes it easier to give. And not feel depleted or give in a way that's divine and light rather than quote unquote overgiving. And sometimes if you overgive, that can keep you up at night too.
You say so much. But even just the idea of waking up and stepping out with the energy running through your legs and feeling
whole body.
That is a big receive versus like just the sleepy wake up where we're not even, we have to go get the coffee to feel charged.
Yeah, and you're not
and
even
not that
awake
there's
yet.
anything wrong with that, but just the starting point of being filled up before we even move out of the room.
Right. And we're going to start getting into an advanced discussion, but I feel it's important to springboard. I lost the words exactly that you just said, but it was so important. I was trying to frame it for people, but we wake up full, yes, but for me, it's full of divine light or divine spark. And the advanced part is testing what you want to be full with. So not just full in general, but we can get really specific on that vibration or feeling we want to have or experience.
Can you just say a little bit more about that?
Well, we have a colleague in the community that one of the things that she runs in the morning is love. She wants to download enough divine love and just really tuning into what vibration that you would want in your body and moving forward in your day with that energy, mostly already installed. Basically having that feeling in your body. Could be love, could be a higher vibration, whatever it's going to be for you that's going to make you feel better in your body. And to be somewhat practical for some people, that could be feeling better in your third chakra or a second chakra or whichever place that you want to feel good in. And moving forward, like in a physical form, already recharged or filled up or invigorated with that energy to move forward in your day with, I would call it love and light or balance or whatever anybody needs in their particular day. Somehow it's downloading, just to say this for people, like if they have kids, it might be more like downloading more patience with my kids, getting emotionally neutral with whatever issues you might be having. And so you can really show up for your kids. So that's another thing that's downloading. Might be extraneous for some of those people out there, but I wanted to say that too.
Yeah, it's like the resonance for the individual resonance, what works best for us that day. And which speaks to our soul and spirit, like the divine love and joy of our colleague and patience for parents. And
inner patience. Mm-hmm. Yes, expansion and joy. More expansion makes the universe a better place.